You are about to buy an entire company for $1. It has a factory, 48 employees, millions in annual revenue, and customers that have been buying from it for more than 20 years. The owner does not want a higher price. He just wants your signature. Then the company accountant slides a second folder across the table. Inside are unpaid taxes, broken machinery, a lawsuit, and enough debt to erase everything you own. The business costs $1. Keeping it alive may cost you $5 million. And once you sign, 48 families become your problem. So why would anyone sell a real company for $1? And why are you still considering buying it? You are 31. You have a steady job in operations, a decent salary, and a manager who can turn a 5-minute decision into a 1-hour meeting. Your life is safe. That is exactly the problem. For months, you have searched for a small business to buy, a laundromat, a cleaning company, maybe a repair shop, something understandable, profitable, and small enough to survive your first mistake. Then one evening, a listing appears on your laptop, a metal component manufacturer for sale. Asking price, $1. The company produces brackets, frames, and mounting systems for commercial buildings. It generates nearly $8 million in annual revenue and owns machinery, inventory, and delivery vehicles. You assume the listing is fake. Then you call. A tired voice confirms the price and asks how quickly you can visit. 2 days later, you pull into the factory parking lot. The building is larger than expected. Loading docks are active. Workers move metal through open doors. From the outside, the company does not look dead. It looks busy. The owner is Martin. He is 67 and built the company with his brother more than 30 years ago. His brother is gone. His children do not want the business. Every decision still runs through Martin, and he looks exhausted. He takes you through the factory. 48 employees are still working. Some have been there longer than you have been an adult. Then Martin stops and says, "I am not selling the company for $1. I am selling the responsibility." In the meeting room, the first folder looks good. Loyal customers, 4 months of orders, and $7.8 million in annual sales. The second folder explains the price. The company owes the bank $1.6 million, suppliers $740,000, and the tax authority $310,000. Machines need urgent repairs. A former employee is suing. Pension obligations are unclear. The shares cost $1 because the equity may be worth less than $0. The business model is simple. Customers place orders. The company buys steel and aluminum. Employees cut, bend, assemble, and ship the finished components. The problem is timing. Customers pay in 60 days. Suppliers want payment in 30. Employees are paid every 2 weeks. Electricity, insurance, freight, and rent leave the account every month. When the company was healthy, it had enough working capital to bridge the gap. Then material prices rose. Customers began paying later. Martin borrowed to keep the company moving. Instead of raising prices, he protected customer relationships. Instead of replacing machines, he repaired them again and again. Instead of building management, he worked longer hours. Each decision bought more time. None solved the problem. Revenue stayed high, but cash weakened every month. The company was not dying because customers had disappeared. It was dying because money left faster than it returned. That might be fixable, or it might be the most expensive misunderstanding of your life. For every $100 in revenue, about 42 goes to materials. 28 goes to wages and payroll costs. 9 goes to rent, utilities, and insurance. 7 goes to freight, maintenance, and administration. That should leave $14. But emergency repairs, overtime, penalties, old pricing agreements, and interest consume almost all of it. Some months, the 14 becomes 2. Some months, it becomes negative. The company is not being sold for $1 because it lacks revenue. It is being sold because Martin cannot fund payroll, repairs, suppliers, and taxes at the same time. You estimate the cash needed to survive the first 90 days, $1.4 million. You have $85,000. You are not buying a company. You are volunteering to finance its rescue. So you change the deal. The bank must freeze principal payments for 6 months. Suppliers must accept repayment plans. Martin must stay for 1 year. Unused assets must be sold, and you must receive full control from day one. The bank initially says no. Then it realizes bankruptcy leaves it with used machines and an empty building. A turnaround is the least bad option. You invest nearly everything you have. The sale closes for $1. The real price is your savings, your reputation, and every peaceful night you are about to lose. On your first day, 48 employees wait for you to speak. Some expect closure, others expect layoffs. You tell them the truth. The company has customers and a future, but almost no time. You freeze new spending, remove unprofitable products, raise prices on contracts that lose money, and call every overdue customer. Then the surprises begin. A major customer threatens to leave. The repair estimate increases by $300,000. A supplier refuses to release critical material. Your best production manager resigns. None of these problems was hidden inside the $1 price, but all of them now belong to you. 3 weeks after closing, the largest machine fails completely. Production stops, orders stack up. The company has enough cash for 12 days. This is when you understand why Martin sold. Not because the business had no value, because he could no longer carry the fear of losing it. Now the fear belongs to you. Instead of hiding the shutdown, you call the 5 largest customers. You explain the problem and ask them to prepay future orders. 4 refuse. 1 agrees. That customer advances $600,000 because replacing your company would disrupt its own business. Payroll survives. The machine is repaired. Production restarts. The rescue does not make the company healthy. It simply stops it from dying today. During the first 6 months, revenue falls. You remove low-margin work on purpose. Sales drop from $7.8 million to $6.5 million. From the outside, the company looks weaker. Inside, it is becoming stronger. Waste falls. Overtime drops. Customers pay faster. Prices begin reflecting costs. Unused inventory is sold. A warehouse the company no longer needs sells for $900,000, and most of that money goes directly to debt. At the end of year 1, revenue is $6.6 million. Operating profit is $720,000. Free cash flow is $410,000. Net debt has fallen to $1.5 million. You still pay yourself less than you earned in your old job, but the company is no longer dying. In year 2, revenue returns to $7.4 million. Operating profit reaches $1.1 million. Debt falls below $900,000. Then a competitor offers $5.5 million for the company. The headline writes itself. $1 became millions. But that headline is garbage. You invested $85,000, raised outside capital, accepted legal risk, worked below market pay, and came within days of losing everything. The $1 price was real. It was simply the least important number in the deal. So, would you buy the dying business for $1? Only if you understand what the dollar hides. A distressed company can have valuable customers, equipment, and employees while being buried beneath debt, working capital shortages, legal obligations, and years of delayed decisions. The deal works because 5 things are true. The product still has demand. Customers are real and recurring. The losses come from fixable operations, not a dead market. Creditors prefer a turnaround to bankruptcy, and you secure enough cash to survive before improvements begin. Remove one of those conditions and the $1 business becomes a financial graveyard. The company was never free. You paid with capital, time, stress, and responsibility. But you also learned the real lesson. The cheapest company is not always the best bargain. Sometimes it is simply the company whose problems are too large to fit inside the asking price. You bought a dying business for $1. You did not become rich when you signed. You became responsible. The value appeared later, after the debt, after the breakdown, and after the night the company had 12 days left. Worth buying only if the business is broken, not obsolete. Worth frame. Money looks different from the inside.